Let's talk about creativity. Let's talk about creativity. I get asked about that a lot because people say to me, wow, you make all these videos for YouTube and your Patreon channel, and you write books, and you play gigs, and you teach workshops and lessons, and you're always doing stuff. How can you be so creative? I'm not always creative. In fact, right now I'm sort of in a slump. It's summer here, and my mind is pretty much elsewhere. I'm thinking about being outside. I'm thinking about all the flowers in my yard. I'm thinking about the birds and the critters. I'm thinking about taking walks in nature, taking walks by the lake, things like that. So my mind is elsewhere. I just haven't felt overly creative. The first 6 months of the year, I was incredibly creative. January through April was pretty much writing my new book that'll be out this fall. Very intense, very deeply into that. And I was really a lot of research, reading a lot of books, watching videos, listening to podcasts, drawing upon all that and disseminating it in the book and really putting all these ideas together. And then after that, I got into a very creative video streak. I must have made 12 or 13 videos within a couple weeks, and then scheduled them on YouTube out through September. So I've been very creative in that first part. And then summer hit, and it's just like part of it is just I just ran out of energy for being creative. After 6 months, and even it goes into last fall too. I mean, in December was busy. November, I was in Europe teaching and playing. September and October, I was out east teaching and playing. And, it's been a very, very busy 9-10 months. So I just reached a stage where it's like, okay, I'm kind of out of creative impetus here. I'm kind of out of that energy. Which is okay, and that happens to everyone. You cannot be creative 24/7, 365 days a year. You're going to drive yourself into the ground. It doesn't work that way. So I've enjoyed just kind of hanging out. It's summertime here. Summer is kind of short and sweet in the Milwaukee area, so you have to get out and enjoy it. Otherwise, it's going to be October, and you're like, where did summer go? So I've been enjoying that. But I've still been creative. I've been making videos. I'm making one right now. So I've made more videos. I've started working on my next book for 2027, writing a few things. I'm reading a lot of books together, information and ideas. So the creativity is there, but it shifts to sort of a different, more of a passive than a real active creative endeavor. So how are you creative? How do you bring about creativity? I mean, it can't be forced. I've tried to force things. I put the camera on and turn on the mics and, we're going to make a video. And it just doesn't happen. It doesn't come out. And I watch the playback and I go, wow, that really sucks. That just didn't happen. It didn't work right. So you can't force creativity, but you can do things to spur it on, to encourage it. And the biggest thing is to fill the well, to fill yourself up with ideas. Read books, listen to podcasts, watch videos, talk to people in real time, face-to-face, or even over the internet or the phone. Communicate with others. Work with others. Get out of your environment Go out into nature, walk around, listen to everything, the birds, the trees, the river running by, things like that. And if you're in the city, get out in the city, listen to the traffic and the people and the construction and all that. All these things will filter through your senses into your brain, into your body, your soul, however you want to describe it. And it gives you things to draw upon, to be creative about. Also, get in your studio, your sound space, work with your instruments. Even if it's just for 10 minutes a day, get in there and play something. You might spark some sort of an idea by being there, or maybe just you find a new sound or new rhythm or something that you can file away. But you have to work at being creative. It just doesn't happen. You can't draw water from a dry well. You have to make sure the well is full so you can, get water from it. So think of yourself as the well. If you've got no ideas in there, you're not going to be creative. But if you fill it up, you can be creative and you can do things. And that's sort of the simple part, but it takes time. I mean, you really have to work at it. I like to read multiple books at a time. I think I'm reading 5 different books right now. Well, here's part of the thing, too. Our digital age. I've been reading a lot of stuff by Korean-born German philosopher Byung-Chul Han. And I really resonate with a lot of his ideas. I mean, he draws upon past philosophers, but he really puts things in a present tense. We live in a digital age. I mean, here I am. I've got a digital camera, a digital microphone. Things will go out over the digital internet. You will see them on your digital phone or television or whatever. So we do live in a digital age, and he's really a philosopher for now, for the modern times. And a couple of his ideas that really resonate with me that we can apply to creativity. One is, we live in an age where nobody lingers upon anything. We live in the doom scroll era. We're on our phones, on whatever app, and we're just, okay, next, 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 next. And we look at things like TikTok in that short attention span, how it's cultivating that. Okay, after 10 or 15 seconds, we want something else. We want something new. Part of that is the chemical hits in our brain from that continual motion, that continual stimuli. And the other part of it is just, I think we are afraid of boredom. We are afraid of nothing. I give a lot of thought to that because sometimes I'm bored as can be. And it's easy to pick up your drug of choice, being a phone and scrolling through things and getting that hit, that gratification, that electronic digital gratification, and getting that. It's so easy to do that. But I like to just sit around, and especially I'll go sit in my backyard. I have a nice backyard. I have flowers. I have bird feeders and birds. I have small critters. It's a nice place to be. I like to just sit out there and just do nothing. Just sit there. Watch the birds and the bunnies and the squirrels. Watch the trees as the wind blows them. Watch the jet flying overhead. Listen to the traffic in the background. And just be for a moment. And not have that compulsion to jump on my phone or jump on the internet and just, like a dog pawing at the ground, how they're doing that. Not to do that. So let's get back to reading multiple books. I like to read a book, and like this morning, I try to read at least one chapter a morning in a book while I'm sitting there in the kitchen having my tea. So I tend to read books by chapters or sections. And then I stop, pause, and put the book away so that I can think about what I just read, so that I can linger upon the ideas that were presented to me. It's too easy to keep reading through a book, and you get to the end of the book and it's like, how much have I actually absorbed? It's like watching television. You're watching a show. There's a big difference between watching one episode a week and binge watching 6 or more episodes in a day. There's a big difference there. If you watch a show and an episode comes out once a week, every Thursday, I've got my favorite science fiction shows like Silo and Severance and Foundation and things like that. I'm a big sci-fi fan. Okay, we're in the midst of Silo right now, season 3. I watched that episode. I watch it Thursday night. And then for the whole week, I think about that episode. I can linger upon it and think about what happened there. How does it connect to the previous episodes? How might it connect to the future episodes? What's going on behind the scenes? There's a lot of subtleties and a lot of different layers to the show, to most shows. So I have time to think about that. Well, let's just say I hadn't watched any of it and the season's done. I'm going to watch season 3 and binge it. So I sit there and I just like, bam, bam. I just keep going through each episode. Let's say I'm on the 4th episode and I try to think back, what in the world happened in the first episode? And you're thinking, I don't even remember, because you have just had so much data come in without any processing of it. It's hard to remember what happened in the past. Whereas once a week, you can process this information. And that's our lives right now, because we tend to doom scroll through everything, move from activity to activity, so that we're always just being in this moment, and life becomes, as Hans says, a series of continual moments that don't really mean anything. They don't add up to anything in the end. And then you find yourself looking back on your week and you go, what did I do? What happened? Because we just keep moving from one thing to another. We never appreciate anything. We never linger upon things. So I read 5 different books because I like to read different things. And I like to be able to take the time to linger upon a chapter in this book. So then maybe I'll read part of another book and things like that, as opposed to just trying to jam my way through a whole book. Even with fiction, with a novel, a lot of times I'll do that too. I'll read a chapter. As much as I want to go on, because what happens next? I'll stop. Maybe if I'm reading in the morning, maybe I'll stop until that evening to pick the book up again, or until the next day, or later in the week, because I want to linger upon what I just read and all the things that preceded it. How does that come together? As opposed to just keep reading and reading and reading. And so it is with playing music, playing a session. I see a lot of people kind of doom scroll their sessions. They're just busy flitting from one thing to another. Oh, I'm going to play this drum. I'm going to play a little singing bowl here. I'm going to play some gong here. Oh, hit a bell, bang, a bell played, hit this again, bang the drum some more. And there's just this constant motion, this constant moving forward, never lingering. So you have to think about the people out front that you are playing for. How are they processing what you are doing? How are they taking it in? If they're laying there, they might have an eye pillow and they got their blankets and cushions and their eyes shut and all. But their brain isn't, it's not like they're unconscious. They're still hearing and processing what's going on. And they're also feeling it maybe through the floor, through the air. What is their experience? Are they also doom scrolling your session along with you because they're going, oh, I like that gong sound. I want to think about that. Boom, there's a bell. And then, they have to follow the bell. Oh, there's a drum playing. We have to think about that. Are you doom scrolling your sessions? I used to. I'll admit it. I used to just kind of like, we're just going to make this big frenetic, just this wall of sound, and just keep this thing going, just like this ocean wave that just keeps crashing. And then, it just seemed like, no, no, that's just, I have a hard time processing it. And I got to thinking about the people out front. How are they processing things? So one thing I had to teach myself was to linger upon my sounds. Play a gong. Boom. Let it decay into the ether. Just hang out a while. Take some breaths. Listen to the silence as it is revealed. Maybe a truck goes by outside, you hear that, or a dog barks. Take it all in. Linger on the sound. Wow, I really like the sound of that gong. That was nice. Boom. Okay. Then introduce the same sound or another sound. Boom, bing. But let that linger some instead of boom, bing, 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 boom, 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 boom. Just moving too fast. That's the life we live, is moving too fast and never lingering, just moving from one thing to another. My idea currently that I've developed over time is I want to get both myself and the people out front listening, I want to get them out of that doom scrolling life. Get them out of that moving ever forward through linear time that we are really stuck in. And we can't help it because that's the way of the world now. I mean, that's our digital world and everything's faster, Companies that now are monitoring all their employees, and some of them, they make them wear bracelets that send tracking data back to the company's computers. Oh, they're not moving fast enough. They're not doing fast enough. Or, people who work in warehouses, they have to do so many things per hour and all this. It's just like, everybody's doing that. Everybody's stuck into this doom scroll life. I want to get them out of that for an hour, 90 minutes, however long the session is. Now, I want to be out of that too. I just want to play the sounds, take some breaths, allow the silence to be revealed, and linger upon it all. How is that creative? Well, it's creative because it's something you have to work at. You can't just show up and say, oh, I'm going to let the silence in today and just do it. You have to work at it in your studio, in your sound space, wherever. You have to develop that sort of a style. Maybe that won't work for you. I mean, we each have to do what works for us, what we feel. But this is what I'm currently feeling. Now, a year or two from now, I might be feeling a whole different sort of thing because I have evolved through time. I keep changing. Today, I'm not playing the same way I did a year ago, 5 years ago, 10, 20 years ago, or longer. It's very different, but it's evolved over time. And creativity, you have to work at being a creative person. You can't just go, okay, let's be creative. Yeah, ideas, come on in. No, you have to invite them in a more subtle way by filling up the well, as it were, filling yourself up with ideas. And then you find that they'll come out. I'll come down here and it's like, okay, what should I do today? I'll pick up a mallet and I'll start playing, and suddenly it's like all these things open up and I just go with it. Or I come down here, it's like, I need to make a video. What should I make a video about? And maybe I'll bang on something or pick something up and I'll go, oh yeah, I should talk about this. Maybe, it's like, oh, I should talk about these kind of mallets and how I use them. I'll make a video like that. Or I should talk about this gong or these bowls or whatever. So you have to work at being creative. And I work at it all the time. But I also don't obsess over it and don't doom scroll my way through it. I allow for times when I'm not creative and I realize, okay, it's not a creative day. I'm going to grab a tea and go sit in the backyard and watch the birds. And people might come by and go, "Why, that guy, he doesn't do much. He's always in his backyard. What a life, But I'm there filling myself up. I'm getting ideas. And my brain is able to think and process. I'm sitting out there doing nothing, but I'm processing. I'm always processing. Even in the background, I can let my brain work in the background. And then it's like a bubble coming to the surface from underwater. There's an idea. And I'll go, oh, that's an interesting idea. And I'll start thinking on that idea and expanding it and working on it. I might get out my phone or my computer and start typing things down so I don't forget it. Like 3 days from now, I go, what was that idea I had Tuesday? Or I'll write it down, on paper. I have notes everywhere. I have piles of notes. I have notebooks full of notes of ideas. And then when I'm not feeling creative, I can go through my notebook and look at things, or go on my phone on the Notes app and I can look at things, go, oh yeah, this was a good idea. Let's kind of work on it. Let's expand that, see if I can build it into something to make a video with, or write an article about, or a chapter about, or whatever. So that's how I'm creative, basically. And from interviewing a lot of musicians over the past, 45 years or so since I started writing for magazines. It was back in '83, so it's been a long time. I've interviewed a lot of musicians and a lot of other artists, and I've asked them about this exact thing. How are you creative? What fuels your creativity? How do you come up with ideas? How do you write music? How do you do this? And they're all saying the same thing. I'm telling you, you've got to work at it. It just doesn't happen. You have to work at it, and you have to fill it up, fill yourself up with ideas so that when you need an idea, it can come to the surface and you can go, yeah, I'll work on that today. All right. Thanks for listening to my rambling on creativity. I hope it's given you some food for thought. I hope that you can turn this video off and perhaps linger on it for a while and think about the ideas I presented. And perhaps you can take time throughout your busy life and get off that hamster wheel of doom scrolling your life away and sit down and just think about things or think about nothing. Just linger on life itself. All right, thanks. We'll see you in the next Cup of Talks.